So guys, we are going to wait for 5 minutes before the start. And of course, we are going to have today our last event in this summer internship term. And then we are going to move to the General Assembly. So the conference is going to take around 1 hour or maybe less. And then the General Assembly will take more or less about 40 minutes. So I think our speakers is here. We have here Omaima and we have here Amal, but we are going just to wait another 3 minutes. And we are going to try to wait for Christina and also for more participants. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. So today is our conference. And of course, today is also our General Assembly.
Hello.
This is why we have Nicola. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just starting the meeting. So I'm going to give you the speech after me, Nicola, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. So guys, as I was saying that today is our conference in open education and e-learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, it's going to be also our General Assembly. The conference, it will be around 1 hour or less. And then we are going to start the General Assembly directly after. So today we have three good speakers. We have Omaima Al-Ghazali from Morocco. She is a doctor in educational and cross-cultural exchange. We have also Christina Crane from Macedonia. She is director of the Scientific Community Office at FAOU. And also we have Amal Toubish, Tunisia. She is e-learning and outreach consultant at UNDP. So today It's going to be a very interesting discussion, and of course, a very interesting speech from our three speakers. I'm going to give the mic to Nicola, and of course, the moderators of this conference is Tracy and Kate.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Nicolò, the responsible of communication department. It's a great honor opportunity to introduce to this amazing meeting, our last of several sentence of meeting opportunity that we are implemented during the next weeks. Weeks. Education, as you know, is a very important topic now than ever, more than ever, because with the COVID-19 outbreak, we have seen a lot of people then try to implement the education as with several tools, with several way of learning. There are several way of interpreting education, as you know, because anyway, education it's a wide word that you use can referring to several topics. We always try to implement ourselves with several skills, with several educational. Everything all right? Okay. And especially, I was saying with the online, with an online course and using internet as educational tool to implement better our skills is a great opportunity in which we have to absolutely use it, but in the same way to pay attention, because as we can see, there's a general inflection of educational tool using net, but for many people that have few opportunity to using other tools, it's one of the most important nowadays. So it's a great topic. It's very important to analyze. We have a wonderful speaker that can help us to understand how educational is going on today, what are the best way to implement our skill, their opinion and their experience about with the young people and about even with other people if they can show this kind of experience, and the future of education, and especially after COVID-19 outbreak, because it's a very hot topic. It is very important to analyze with all of you. It will be a very interesting discussion, as Subar said before. So I don't like too long speech, because it's important that everybody the opportunity to talk and to sharing their experience. So I leave the floor with a great pleasure to my intern, so you can introduce yourself, you to show how wonderful was the work that we had during this week especially, and thank you very much for your attention. So please, you have the floor now.
Welcome everyone. So let me change the slide. Okay, so welcome to our open educational and e-learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Tracy. I'm from Vietnam, and I'm joining FAOU as an intern communication officer. So we're here today to discuss more about the open education and the e-learning in the COVID-19 pandemic with our three amazing speakers, and you can also freely discuss with and interact with us as well. So here are our team. Nicolo has introduced himself. My name is Tracy once again, and Kate, could you please have a brief introduction about yourself?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Tracy. Hello, everyone. I'm also a communication intern in this amazing team, and now just working online. I think it's really a topical question nowadays. Have to be flexible, have to be able to adjust to the e-learning, have to provide everyone with the opportunity to have an education. And I'm really happy to be here, and I hope that we will have a productive mutual discussion on the important topic that really matter. And I also wanted to say that a lot of work preparing for this conference was done by our intern Gabriel, who did a lot to prepare it. He cannot stay with us today due to some technical problems, but he is an amazing person who just is and was a valuable part of our team. So thank him very much.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Okay, I think that we should go to our speakers. So, the, so I would love to introduce to you first is Omania Egazalia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Could you?
I think, sorry, Tracy, I think the name is Umayma Al-Ghazali. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I can go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Yes, please.
Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. One second. Can you see it now?
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So, hello everyone. My name is Umaym Al-Ghazali. I'm from Morocco, and I'm a doctor in the field of education and cross-cultural exchange. I'm also interested in skill set development, including soft skills and hard skills, and including ICTs in the field of education. I also would like to introduce myself or part of my identity as a former intern of Fatima Al-Fihri Open University. I interned, I think, in 2018 in two different positions, and it's been a very great experience. And I still belong and feel that I have that feeling to belong to the family of FAO. So I picked I think I'm going to be talking more about the academic experience of distance learning or e-learning, because there are a lot of terminology that is used when we talk about online education. But I wanted to stick to classroom education with a bit of how does that impact students learning to access open education, like online courses that are not within academia. And I choose the title of e-learning during COVID-19 pandemic, and I choose the now normal for that. And I will be explaining more what I mean by the now normal by this quote. So this quote by Donna, I don't want to spell her or say her name wrong, last name wrong, Donna Abernathy. It says online learning is not the next big thing. It is the now big thing. And the reason why I chose this quote and this title for my presentation is that a lot of people, when they say that technologies will be the next big thing, they'll be the future, it always gives them a time span where they can prepare and feel that they're comfortable right now, which is not the case. It's not a next big thing. So it does not give you plenty of time to prepare. It's a now thing. It's an urgent thing that needs to be taken care of and needs to be implemented as soon as possible. I would like to share a couple of statistics from the UNESCO about the school closure around the world as impacted by the pandemic. And I looked at the peak of when schools were impacted by COVID-19 and had a total closure, and that was in May last year, impacting 813 million students, which is more or less half the total population of learners enrolled in education, and impacting 157 countries worldwide. That's a lot of countries to actually think of. And you could see all the blue countries, especially in South America, North Africa, most European countries will all going through a total lockdown, and you'll see the other ones going partially into lockdown, which means that they all had to transition to online education. I also took statistics from yesterday from the same website, because it kind of changes on a monthly basis. And I think on a daily basis as well. And these statistics show still that there is a need for online education, because 114 million students are still affected by that, which means a total of 6.5% of students. 17 countries are still affected by total lockdown. And you'll see a lot of other countries in Africa and South America and United States are actually still partially open, which means that a lot of countries are still dependent on online education. What does that mean to the educational systems worldwide when we say transition to online education? And here I'm talking about students who are enrolled in a classroom. And I will be giving hints to why that is important, only to instill in them a need for open education, to seek other opportunities for learning. What that meant is that learning management systems became very famous, like a Google Classroom, like Moodle, like Canvas. All of these became very important as a way to help students learn. And it followed an asynchronous type of education. So the teacher would put content or would put information that the students had to read, or they can upload their homework on that platform. And also a huge need for conferencing software like Zoom, like Google Meet, like Skype, for synchronous types of learning, which means that students all come together and meet in a real time to actually discuss and ask their questions and interact with their instructors as about the things that they learned on their own through the asynchronous type of education. And also popularity of optional virtual training and online education, which brings us to open courses that a lot of people started to take during that period of time. It's just been like people trying to find courses that kind of help them understand what they were going through mentally, like a lot of courses about mental health, how to adjust to changes, how to actually learn different skills, professional skills. And a lot of organizations and foundations started to do online training. So a lot of people spent time online doing many things, and allowed for geographical flexibility, which we'll be looking into in a while. And also professional development courses. A lot of corporations, workspaces, these started to take that time and use it to get their staff members trained professionally, especially those whose jobs are more associated with the physical setting. I want to read this quote by Dr. Christine Greenhow, and she really explained what how that looked like in real life. So the shift to online education was accompanied by confusion and whether and how to hold students accountable for their learning and whether to teach new material. So a lot of confusion was happening among instructors. Many teachers slowed the pace at which material was taught and adjusted performance expectations. So they were not really evaluating and assessing students based on the same ranking that they used to in a physical classroom. It had to be changed because expectations were lowered. Adjusted schedules for remote instruction sometimes meant lost learning time. So less time was spent on learning. And absenteeism for many students. Students knew that the classroom was, the session was going to be recorded or the content was going to be on that learning management system. So they didn't make sure that they attended because they knew that the content will be found there later on and they could do it on their own pace. The result is likely some learning losses. So the quality of learning was not sustained, at least because the period from transitioning to online education until now, and people are still actually learning, it's more of an experimental type of learning how to do things. Like they would do things and discover that there are errors and they correct them and then do the next errors and then correct them. It's like a trial period of what works and what not works. And then finally, students with unequal access to resources. The result is likely some learning losses, especially for students with unequal access to resources. And here we're talking about social inequality and economic inequality, but the extent to which we will not know until diagnostic systems assessments next year, which means that there are not really a lot of studies that tackle what is the damage of this transition to online education. So I will discuss some of the challenges, and I split them into 4 categories. One of them is social challenges, meaning that in the middle of the pandemic, there are still a lot of things that are stopping students to access learning, open education courses, as well as the classroom instructions. And I think that's one of the points that FAOU is actually working on, is to have free access education to all students globally, and to kind of mend that gap between different nations. The second type of challenge is pedagogical challenges. For an instructor to create content that is produced and put online, it has to be tailored for that environment. You can't have a student sit in front of a laptop or a screen for 2 to 3 hours, listening to a professor or a teacher giving lectures or watching a course online that's only like talking. It's more like they want interactive content. They want a question to pop up on their screen that they can click on. Can use different platforms to have interactive content. So the content that was used in a traditional classroom will not work right now in a online one. It has to be tailored. And technical challenges, which means that both instructors and students are not tech savvy. They do not they do not, or we are not sure how many of them actually are tech savvy or have technical skills to operate a hardware for technologies or use different online platforms. And finally, psychological challenges. It was not easy to transition. That transition was not easy on everybody. It cut off a lot of different habits that they were used to, and it created stress and anxiety in a lot of students. And I'm actually working on a study around this area of stress and anxiety in students. And it's been very, very interesting to learn what are the different things that created anxiety in students. And one of them is actually uncertainty, because all of what was going on around them was actually very, very new. So it was difficult for them to actually grasp it and create meaning for it in their minds. Now, other challenges are finding a fit in learning time. So as we all know, online education or transitioning to online learning created flexibility for learners, which mean, and also for instructors, which means some instructors, at least in Morocco, would schedule classes in the evening because they knew that, it was going to happen anyway online. Why should, it keep the same time? And this created kind of difficulties for students to adjust their schedules, to do different things. And also, most of the activities they wanted to take part of, for example, volunteerism, internships, trainings that they want to do, online courses, they all were all happening on the same day and on similar platforms on the same screen. So there wasn't difference, and it kind of created that difficulty in students. Need for autonomy in learning. A lot of students are used to traditional classrooms where a teacher is the one who is in control of learning. They can listen to his or her ideas and take notes. And when they transitioned to online education, it was more of students having to learn. And it's the same thing that online open courses actually provide, that you have to be autonomous in your learning to go look for a course that you want to take and then make yourself committed to that course. And commitment is a very important thing, actually, when you start an online course or you start anything in life. You have to have that autonomy and commitment for any learning experience to actually be successful. And again, technical savviness, and we don't really know how much these learners are aware and can operate different technological platforms or different technological actually hardware, and then different platforms for learning. Socioeconomic changes. A lot of people were affected by the pandemic, that a lot of people not really thinking, like instructors, stakeholders, and not really thinking, how can we mend this issue? Do everybody have access to internet? Do everybody have access to food? A lot of families lost their income. So internet, and I wouldn't say electricity, but internet is the last thing, a family who does not have food would think about. So it was it's a bit hard, and it kind of sheds light on the inequalities that are happening worldwide. Minimal and absence of social content, especially students, and feeling that they belong to a classroom of people or students or a group of people who are friends with them, and they create that sense of belonging in a physical environment that was taken away from them, both instructors and teachers. Access to technology and workable internet connectivity, a big issue worldwide. It's very common in Morocco as well. A lot of students would complain in my classes this last semester, and it's been a challenge to actually accommodate that, because you have to find other ways to get them to learn that class, or to get the same learning as other students who had workable internet connection. Again, content that is tailored for classrooms, so that you have your students focusing and interested on the course content. You don't have them losing interest. For online engagement among students. And this is, all of these actually are findings of a study by, I have the reference at the end, and it's Sharma 2021. What they found in this study is that students had poor online engagement. So when you have a student in a physical classroom and an online classroom, and you compare their engagement, you find that they are more engaged in a physical one instead of virtual one, which means achieved learning outcomes. And the absence of concrete final assessment and evaluation. It is really hard to actually find reliable and valid assessment ways that are similar to those in a physical classroom. You could cheat easily, I think, on an online platform. There are different ways, there are different tricks that professors and different LMS learning management systems created for this assessment and evaluation, and still students are still finding hacks to actually go around that. And again, stress and anxieties that were created by the SEDA transition and also operate in all the different novelties. But on the other hand, however, there are a lot of opportunities that were created by this shift for both for learners and instructors. Of course, the first cause was to limit COVID-19 spread, and it did that for both learners and instructors. Geographical flexibility for both, again, you could be anywhere, you could go anywhere. Some students I had in my study said that the at least are not spending as much money on transportation to get to where they go to school, have to take 2 buses to 3 buses to go to university. So that created a little bit of comfort for them, and creating interactive content for learners. So it's interesting, fun, and motivating. And also it gives the instructors a chance to have more creativity and add novelty in their teaching. For students, accessibility to course content, meaning that the sessions are recorded, they can access them at any time. And also they are developing their technical skills, both learners and instructors. This is a forced way to actually develop their technical skills. Students are getting written feedback on different LMS classrooms. For example, Google Classroom, you could write feedback, you could write comments, and students can go back to them anytime. Comfortable learning environments. Some students, and this was, I had conflicting results actually about this one. Some students wanted to study from their room. It made them feel comfortable. Others, it made them feel lazy, because to them, that physical place of a room is a place where they can sit, be themselves, and live and be who they are. It's not really a place for them to learn. And of course, forced learner autonomy. So they were obliged to be responsible for their own learning. It's good for them to learn how to be autonomous. And it's also good for instructors not to always be needed in every step the student is taking. So as a conclusion, and what else can be done, because we cannot really say that not much is done and not a lot of things have been done in the past, but there are other things that can be done. And I wanted to talk about that in terms of soft skills, hard skills, pedagogies, to help both instructors and learners. And here, when I say instructors and learners, they're not only the two people who are part of this whole e-learning thing, but there are other stakeholders, including parents, decision makers, instructors, administrative staff of different universities. But I wanted to focus on instructors and students because they are more at the heart of this whole topic. Now, some soft skills that learners can develop are time management skills. They need to know when they can organize their time, so they can also have time to actually do open courses that are of their choice, and about things that they want to learn on the side, not part of a curriculum, not part of an educational system. Resiliency, and this time management thing is not something that they can do on their own, but instructors have to also help them by giving them a fixed time that is not always changing. Resiliency and flexibility, and that is a lesson for life in general, to adapt to any changes that might come up in their way. Growth mindset, and by growth mindset, I mean opportunities, and take any opportunity as a learning opportunity. And autonomy in learning, become autonomous learners, and finding the way for learning. So, and this is, I talk about extrinsic motivation to why do you want to learn something. This is applicable both, again, in a classroom environment and both for their own learning. For example, a student of mathematics might be interested in learning about psychology, and it's their time to actually take online courses while they are, they're sitting at home, they have their computer, they have, I might not say they have time, but they have that mindset of sitting in front of a computer to do that. Hard skills, self-digitalization and updating their skills. A lot of students, there is this assumption and hypothesis around youth or 2000 generation, 1990s generation, saying that they are actually tech savvy and operate any technological devices and use any platforms, which is not true. They are more aware, the majority, they're more aware of how to use internet and technological platforms for entertainment, like not for learning. So we only need to redefine the use of technologies, and not only say, you have to use internet to learn, but also make sure that the students are aware that you have to split time. And also I go back again to the time management thing. And if I want to elaborate more on this idea, because a lot of students, what they do is that when they are learning in a physical classroom, the moment they get to their houses, use internet for entertainment because the classroom time has ended, the learning time has ended. Maybe they have homework that doesn't usually happen online. And if it does happen, it would only be like a WhatsApp group professor or announcements or anything, but that's pretty much it. So internet is mostly associated with entertainment and connecting with friends and chatting and pictures, Instagram and things like that. So it's not associated with learning and MOOCs and open learning online open classes that they can take on the internet. So redefining that use of technology is very important, at least for youth and young generations. What does that mean for instructors, on the other hand? Pedagogical training, there's this hybrid approach to teaching that, or also known as blended approach to teaching, where they use asynchronous and synchronous types of learning, where students are taking care of the learning, but they also have time to discuss, ask, and communicate with their instructors. Professional development opportunities for teachers around online pedagogy. Not a lot of teachers know how to use and operate different online tools for their own learning or creating a classroom or a curriculum. Innovative practices, interactive content, and using interactive classrooms. For soft skills, they need to know how to assist students in transforming or adapting to change, like coaching skills. Are not also affected. They are also affected by this pandemic, and they might also need to be assisted with such skills. Time management skills, as I said, so that they can also have their personal professional life balance, and also resiliency and flexibility to changes. And finally, hard skills, they also need to use self-digitalization, adapting their skills. So I think most instructors should not wait for a training to come up so that they could teach. They have to be, interested and have that urge to always learn what are the new things that are going on in the tech field and ICT skills development in any field. This is the end of my presentation. These are my references, and thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amanda. It was really thought-provoking. Thank you so much. And just from my perspective, I may say that it's really what a cool experience when you show like the part, what are the challenges, what are the options for development, both for the students and for the teachers. And I'm just from a perspective of a student, saw that teachers actually tackling a lot of problems. And I think that's really good, yes, how this view from the other part. Yes, so you're not the only one who is suffering. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any thought that you want to share after this great talk, feel free to jump in the conversation.
Yeah, I think I have just one comment, and I think we can make like 5-10 minutes just for the discussion on the speech with Umayma. Then we can make another 5 minutes or 10 minutes with the other speaker. It's better than keeping all the discussion at the end, so maybe that will be work. But of course, it's up to you, Kate, and the coordinator of this conference. So it's really attracts me that the point when we speak about the e-learning, that many people say that online education people will be cheating, or yeah, of course, but also the pedagogical systems now is different. Now and today, it's not about how great you have, and it's not about what is the knowledge you have, but it's more about how smart you are and how analytics you are and how you can use the knowledge in something, in building on some other answers. So even now today in classes face to face, most of the professors will give you open books, or maybe they can leave you using the internet, because it's not important the information as it's important how to use it. And yeah, I think there is a lot of challenges in the e-learning, or maybe there is some prejudgments. These prejudgments, it exists, it's real, but it must not be like that. So I don't say we must not say that, but yes, we can say that, but in a real world and in the real e-learning and how it should be, we must also think how to build it. I think for from my experience. I think the world is going not only to online, the world is going to hybrid. So we are going to keep the face-to-face, and we are going to combine it with the e-learning. And this is what is happening in a lot of universities in Europe and United States and other countries. You still can go to the classroom, but in the evening you still have a session, or maybe in the weekend, or the professor give you something in the campus, in the virtual campus. And it's not important now, if you study in many universities, it's not important your presence. Most of the professors, they don't care if you come face to face, if you come to the classroom. The most important for them is the project, and maybe the quizzes, or maybe other type of your participation in the subject. So I think this is a big topic, because e-learning, it's not only the change of how we are managing the education, but also it's how the pedagogical is changing. Thank you very much, and I'm looking if any other comments from others.
Can I add something? I have two comments very shortly to say.
Sure, Nicola, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess there are two other important challenges that we have to face for the future. The first one, I guess it's important to pay attention, according to me, to inflection of online education, because the main problem we risk to have is that in the end, the cost, the general cost to take a master or a bachelor or another professional course online on our site are basically the same. This is a problem we have to manage, and with a caring attention, because in the end, the people they're using the tool as the internet to have a more accessibility education, they're doing because they want to anyway to have a less expensive education. But it's important to pay attention about an inflection about online. So this is, according to me, is the first one. I hope in the future there's no speculation and high speculation about it, and we risk to have this. The second one, and to pay attention about, but many people just say something like this, I guess, to don't give to the internet the power to regulate our education, because once I want to use the words of a wonderful Italian philosopher and thinker, Pier Paolo Pasolini. He said that a massive education, a massificated education, is a risk for society, because when we don't have any other opportunity to use other tools to get to us, to give to us a more sophisticated education and several tools to educating ourselves, it's a problem for society and for democracy itself. So it's not only about give to the people education tool, because it's important to have a more qualified and more acculturated people, because you can get this achievement in a several way. The main important thing is to give to the people the tools to give them a real tools to well reasoning, to using education in a several way to give the opportunity to have a more inclusive citizen into a complex society. And this is only possible when you have a several way of educating people, formal and not informal, because in the end, internet is becoming a formal education form of educating people. So that's another problem.
I think I want to comment on your first point, and you're very right. I think it's a huge issue that a lot of people are not believing in the power of online education and do not see it as equal to that of a physical. It's not only the institutions, it's also parents. You know, sometimes why online education, stress and anxiety, and how you manage your own learning inside your home environment. And some of the students said that I don't like to study at home because my parents are not really thinking or believing that I'm actually taking my classes, so the noise and things like that are not accommodated for me. And it's a mindset that needs to be changed in all different parts, and parts that belong to this equation, including stakeholders, parents, administration, administrative people, and also some instructors. So it's a mindset change, and I believe we need to start from the bottom and then go up. to those people who give equivalences of different online masters to that of one that happens in a physical classroom. It's a very good point. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great. So do we have, yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry, Katharina.
Sure.
Hi, everyone. This is Amal speaking. I just wanted to build a little bit up on what Umayma presented. It was really a wonderful one, and I definitely agree on so many points raised. But also I wanted just like maybe to highlight a little bit what Zubair mentioned regarding the challenge of, let's say, cheating, let's say, in kind of like the online, using like the online platforms or like e-learning tools. It could be potentially like true, but what at least like what I experienced in my previous like whether school learning or also like whether with my work is that it's actually not very possible, let's say, for participants to do that. Because like there are like constant changes and constant efforts to adapt and to shape the syllabus and like the literally like the content of the course in order to satisfy or like to answer the needs or like this shift to whatever, everything that is electronic and to the digital like in general. So for example, like moving from a quiz set of paper exam to research papers where actually professors will ask you to even have it on an open book and to assess you on the ideas that you already have in that, like that you're going to put in that assignment itself, more than like the theoretical aspects of it. So it's like a double-edged sword that I totally also like see it. It depends from where you see it and where you stand, but excellent points raised. Thank you.
I think, you know, when we talk about assessment in education, it has always been a big issue, and I'll speak about it from a Moroccan perspective. Unless it is not, for example, you know, you know, you memorize things. I'm not overgeneralizing nor stereotyping. I'm just sharing a couple of things that exist or I'm a product of, because I studied in a Moroccan educational system since, you know, kindergarten. So there are different labels that are put around assessment that are only considered as assessment, and anything outside of that might not be valid or reliable. And when I talk about these two aspects, for an assessment to be real assessment, it has to be valid and has to be reliable. So for online learning, and what you're saying here is that it needs to be creative. It needs to be, you know, go out of that traditional thing. So when we talk about online education, we're saying that we need to kind of remove all of the things that are traditional and including online learning. So for example, I've been seeing tutorials on how you can, if your teacher or your professor has let me see, a multiple choice question on a Google form, and they send it to you as an evaluation, there is a way you can hack it and find all the answers. There's a tutorial on YouTube that teaches you how you can get the answers from that. There are different things that, for example, I studied in two different educational systems that also teach you how you can take online courses and take online assessment and still have, you know, you can't cheat. For example, give you a question, you have a couple of seconds to actually answer that question. And if you don't do it, like, for example, you go Google things or, you know, ask a friend or somebody, you will not actually be able to answer that question and it goes up. And what happens is that students usually will go to a smart student in class and they will ask them to take the quiz and then take the answers for them. And then they will share them with the rest of the class. So these are just, you know, things and hacks students are using. I think the best way to assess such things is through projects. You know, the best way of assessing online education or in an online assessment or an evaluation, at least a summative evaluation, like at the end of a chapter or the end of a semester, is to do a project or writing an essay or something, but also ensure that there is no plagiarism and things like that. It's a very tricky topic indeed. And thank you both for actually raising that, Amal and Zubair.
Yeah, that's really thought-provoking. Yeah, so just I just reflected as well that all the point of education is like a protracted way to the exam or to the test, and it needs to be, something must be done, yes, so that people feel that they do and constantly learn, and constantly just use their skills, right? Not just in the realm of tests. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions, dear participants? If any, if you have any comments, just and if not, we are going to move to our next great speaker. You have already heard her beautiful voice. It is Amal Tobit. She is an e-learning and outreach consultant and UNDP. Yeah, and I hope that you have a good pleasure hearing to this amazing woman. So,
thank you, Katerina. And thank you, everyone. Thank you especially also for the invitation. It's very always a pleasure for me to be part of this community as also a former intern with Fatma Al-Fihri Open University. But to formally maybe a little bit introduce myself, I won't really have slides, but I wanted really to be a little bit of like free roundtable discussion. And apologies also in advance for not being able to turn on the camera due to technical problems. Actually, this is one of the challenges mentioned by Umayma, so I'm sorry about that. So again, my name is Amal Tobish. I'm from Tunisia, currently based in Egypt. And I'm at the meantime also a student. I'm a graduate student at the American University in Cairo. And also I'm a worker. I work with UNDP Regional Hub in Istanbul. And at the same time, mentor, volunteer, and all this within the online framework. So I feel like I'm very good fit to talk about this topic. Maybe to start, I wanted mainly like to raise maybe three main, let's say, headlines or like topics in this big umbrella of e-learning in general. The first one is e-learning and personal development, how they are interconnected in a way, the discipline that it takes to be a good or like a quick online learner, what does it actually take to be a good, let's say, disciplined, quote unquote, student, and how it is going to impact whatever our near future or far future. And again, of course, this is from a very pure personal perspective, and I'm very happy also to hear yours. So I want to just like maybe quickly to start with a short, like brief definition of what is actually e-learning. E-learning is very quite simple, and it's simply learning that is like a learning mechanism that is online, that it's electronic. It could be involving taking trainings, courses, certificates, like qualifications online, rather than the alternative methods. And like recently, especially with the COVID pandemic, we've been like the word of e-learning is really redundant to us, and anything with E is now very, let's say, trendy. And with the seas of accessibility surrounding e-learning courses and the growing popularity of e-learning, it has been really no surprise that individuals are shaping the way they learn for their own personal development. Personal development is definitely about you. It's definitely about the person themselves, which is also actually the same as e-learning. And most e-learning courses are now adapted to meet personal requirements of like different individuals. They do that by asking predetermined questions that help shape the course you want to take, or like they customize or like tailor essentially courses components to meet your personal learning objectives. And that's why actually, whether in universities, we always see like feedback, please give us your feedback. And this is like a constant reminder for them in order to shape and to work more on the curriculums, the approach, the direction that they are taking on several aspects. So within actually this flexibility in e-learning courses, individuals are inclined to expand on a journey of personal development that actually also can be assessed from within their own comfort zone. It could be a very major influencer factor. So e-learning is actually an alternative learning experience for those who are uncomfortable learning in large groups. And this is actually a fact. A lot of students don't really feel comfortable being like in a very small space, let's say, with a lot of people in the same classroom. And it really like doesn't give them that flexibility to learn at their own pace without really distractions and definitely also indirect costs. And this is what e-learning is actually offering us. Like, for example, during the pandemic and actually till now, we've seen like big named universities like giving courses and trainings and mentorships for free to anyone who is interested and to take them online. So it's actually a very good way to boost your knowledge, to expand, like to learn more on your own pace and at a very reduced cost. So the students would also have more resources at their disposal too, because they wouldn't have to visit and devote their full years at campuses, for example, rather than they would take commodities and courses online at their convenience and at a much cheaper costs. And we've read like about students who actually managed to finish like their undergrads in a very short timeline of like less than 4 years, maybe in 2 years or even shorter. And this is actually due to the flexibility that e-learning is offering. But is it actually easy to commit to e-learning or like to have an e-learning platform or like classroom? And the answer, of course, is not. It's not easy, but I wanted to highlight maybe some tips and tricks on how you actually could like, let's say, fit. But again, of course, this is from my personal experience. But I'm sure also online you will find hundreds and zillions of other recommendations. But at least this is what I see really relevant. The first thing is to really understand that online learning practices and expectations, and that online learning is actually also learning. And by this, I mean, like, it's actually a classroom, a virtual classroom, let's say. And you need really to realize that it's not an easier way to learn rather than a more convenient one. And to successfully learn online, you need to dedicate a significant amount of time, consistently attend X program, and to be concentrated while studying, and to fully commit to literally all your own learning processes and learning goals, just as you would do for a regular course. The second point is to have a dedicated study space. It might be, it sounded cliche a little bit, but this is actually effective. Whether you decide to study in your office or in your living room, and just ensure that this place is quiet, organized, distraction-free, as Umayma mentioned. You know, with a lot of challenges now, it's a little bit tricky and hard to find like a distraction-free area, but it has to be available for use at any time for you. And your study environment should be one of your main concerns when you are an online learner, so that you make sure it enables your study routine. Maybe as a suggestion, like to ask your friends, relatives, or colleagues to literally respect your work mode and consider turning off your phone whenever you have like an online network open, let's say, or like when you are taking a course as well. Because like people take it for granted to multitasking and navigating social media while, for example, like attending a course. And it's very easy to be distracted, like when you receive a notification, to just log in and respond and like leaving the course behind. The third point that I wanted to raise is to identify learning objectives and goals, and to be actually realistic with this. In order to stay on track with your online courses, you need to make sure that you always keep in mind that you hope to accomplish by the end of your learning objectives and goals. And it could also be a very good, excellent, good roadmap during the online learning to carefully read the online course requirements. It's literally as if a professor is presenting the syllabus to you. You literally need to have that roadmap also drawn in your mind, and to have a very like highlighted or like bullet points tasks and what you need to perform in X or Y day. Last but not least is to participate actually in the online discussions. It's literally the same as face-to-face. By literally, I mean in theory. Of course, in practice, it's not the same. But like online learning doesn't necessarily mean learning in isolation, and you can still like be connected with your virtual classmates, whether on social media, online courses, forums, webinars, and that will like enhance tremendously your e-learning experience. And like to be engaged with more ideas in a way will also be a very good way for you to keep it up with your online, let's say, course curriculum. Last but not least, one of the maybe a little bit challenging question that it's open-ended, and it's mainly about how it's going to be, or like how I see, let's say, the future of learning. But I wanted before that maybe to highlight that actually there is, how I see it, at least in the near future, also in the far future, is that online, everything that is online is really invading what we are doing now, not only because of the pandemic, but because of everything. All organizations are now shifting. Everything literally that we have is trying its best to literally adapt to these new technologies. So there is no way to escape this. And this is a topic that we really need to talk about and to start action also. But like, in order like to assess maybe, let's say, the situation, how it's going to be, it's a little bit of like ambiguous question. And for me, there is no really definite answer because it depends on the so many factors. And so many of them are mentioned also by Umayma. And I mean by them, the challenges. And one of them, which I really think is very important, is the infrastructure. Improvements are really required in the IT infrastructure to make it more suitable for online education. The question whether we are actually at it or not, that's really debatable. Software for conference calls may be a good start, but it can't handle some key functionalities, for example, like accommodating large class sizes, while also like providing personalized experience. Even like 1,000-student classroom, as an instructor, can sense if students actually are absorbing concepts and can change the pace of teaching. Whereas the contrast is when it comes to online, this cannot really be reachable, like you cannot really assess that. The second thing would be that not actually all faculty members are comfortably using technology trends, let's say, and mainly like the virtual classrooms. And there is a digital divide among those who have never used even the basic audiovisual equipment, relying on blackboards, flip charts, and younger faculty who are aware and adapting newer technology. The same also goes with students, because students also face a number of issues with online courses. In committing them to follow the university calendar forces them to finish the course instead of procrastinating. It's also challenging for students to adapt. So like answering the question whether how it's going to be really depends on how we're going to also work on our base, let's say, or infrastructure at first, independently where you are located. This is really like an important topic that we need to talk about. There are several maybe other points that I wanted to raise, but I know about the time constraint. So I'll just like give some highlights about the new technologies that are actually available. But the big question is if they are actually available to everyone or reachable by everyone. Like technologies such as adaptive learning, social learning, AI, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, all of these are actually giving a unique experience to students. But is it like provided or like accessible and reachable to everyone? That's gonna shape, actually, the answer to this is going to shape the future of, let's say, not only education in the future, but also our daily life. That's it from me. And please let me know your comments, contributions, feedbacks, and feel free. It's very open space. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amal. It was really amazing. Just you can think about any questions or comments that you may have. You can type them in the chat or just jump ahead. And if I may, I just wanted to make some of my comments. So I really adored this first part, just that we are more flexible yet to choose, and that there are certain ways to like find the appropriate course based on your tastes. So we're just based on the constant feedback. But I'm thinking that it's really a dubious question, yeah, double-edged sport. So on the one hand, we are raising professionals who are concentrating on their field, they are highly skilled, but at the same time, I really like this concept of a renaissance person. Like, so the broader knowledge you have, the more valuable member of society you are. And for me, online learning first and foremost is more even about my personal engagement in different topics, so that I may like have a part of this and a part of that. So it was really interesting. And I also just thank you so much. It was great about this problem with participating in the discussion, because as a learner myself, I know that for me, usually I tend to concentrate on what the teacher says, and this is something that we are all told to do. But during the online studying, I figure out that actually what my peers says, what my classmates say, is even maybe sometimes even more valuable that I get from my teacher. So this ability to respect others and to listen to them and to reflect on their opinions and to interact is really something that we need to encourage. And I think with online learning, there are even more opportunities to do so, to do some peer-to-peer assessment or something like this. So thank you so much. It was really great. Guys, do you have any comments, please? You may go ahead. Okay, so everyone is keeping silent. I get that I may lead to flow. I just first wanted to thank so much that you have been here, concentrating with us, not procrastinating. And yeah, FAOU's mission is about getting open and free education to everyone, and it's something that resonates with everyone. I strongly believe here. And that's why we want just to have a blink. And I would like to give the words to Nicola as some of the courses that we consider to be very important in the nowadays reality. So Nicola, could you please have a word?
Yes, as you can see, first of all, there are several international online course opportunities. Fatima Open University is a real open university itself, as you can say in the name, and the role of this university has always been to give the opportunity to the people to have a different way to approach themselves to the education. Because as you can see, the several events we try to organize in the best way that was possible to organize it themselves was to sharing our experience, time question, games day, and something like this. It's a good way to learn, and it's a very original way, I guess. And Fatima University is one of the most important institution, according to me. Online institution can give this kind of opportunity to the people. You can say there are several international like course opportunities offered by it: immigration studies with international certificate, principle of management, peace and conflict studies, and sustainable waste management is another important topic, but we are working for it. It's coming soon. And anyway, I guess that the free opportunity that you can have in this moment in front of you, they are very good because we are talking about a very important topic nowadays. Management, it's important for several reasons. Management is not for itself only to manage a big company, but even your everyday life, to be able to manage every kind of event, of inevitable event, and something like this. Peace and conflict study, even in your everyday life, it could be important with your friends, your parents, to manage conflict. And migration study, because you can take a very important certificate recognized by several institutions, and you can use all of it. I want to add another important opportunity you can use, is called XDG Academy, if you know it, XDG Academy, and it's about several topics. There are several opportunity, even in this big site. I mean, you can take international certification, short courses, several certification about the topic just like environment and all the SDG. There's an intersection for all SDG only, and about short master, short bachelor. Then it depends on the result you want to achieve. Pay attention because several international opportunity. I'm referring to the other website you can meet. They are slowly becoming to pay. I mean, it's needed to pay to have an upgrade on update. So pay attention because if there's a good option, a good opportunity, I mean, by pricing, by paying, we can available to give some suggestion and to, if it's possible, to give you another opportunity or to better manage this problem. I mean, about giving other suggestion, but it's, as I said previously, a problem that we to face. So the main important thing that the most part of opportunity international courses still remain free and free accessible, so don't worry about it. And I want to thank you too for your attention. Sorry, it was a little bit too long.
No, Nicola, you are as usual on time. Thank you so much, and it's really important information to share. And guys, we want just for you to have a quick look at the video that Gabriel has recorded for us, because he's not here and he could enjoy, but he really wished you to see this video. So Tracy, could you please share your screen?
Oh yes, just give me a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can hear the sound.
Hey everyone, it's Gabriel here. I'm recording this video to say that unfortunately I could not attend today's event. I had some internet connection problems and I couldn't make it. But I want to thank each of you who came to our event. I'm really grateful for your presence. A special thanks to Omena, Amal, and Christina for being our speakers today. And also a special thanks to my team, Nicolo, Katerina, and Tracy. You are really amazing and thank you for helping me on that. Today is our last day on summer 2021 internship, but I'm really grateful for having this opportunity of being part of FAOU's family. Yeah, thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Well, so just I hope that you enjoyed it. Yeah, so Gabriel, just quickly, concisely explain everything that we feel right now, our team. Guys,
Almost crying, Kate. I'm almost crying watching this video.
that was the part, yeah, the point. We wanted to bring you both joy and some kind of drama in this world. Could you please, guys, if you don't mind, we want to remember this day. If you can open your videos, and we will make a general photo of everyone who were present today, it will be very good. If you cannot, just please stay with us. We will make a print screen, and we will have a lot of things to think about, right, after we finish it.
Yes, guys, please, if you can open the camera, take a picture of memory.
Yeah. Hello, Christina. Just Christina couldn't join us, but we will share with you her speech just, I believe, and you will have the opportunity to see it. Okay. Nice to see all of you. Okay, so just I will count to 3 and we will do it, okay? So 1, 2, 3. And once more, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Yeah, so that was perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being here with us today.
Okay, guys. So thank you, Kate. Thank you, Tracy and Nicola, for this great event. I also thank all our speakers. I thank a lot Omaima and Amal. It was bad that Christina was having some problems, so she couldn't was with us since the beginning of this conference, but she already sent us her video. We are going to compile the video with the session of today, and we will publish it in our social media accounts and of course in our YouTube precisely. So we are going to ask the guys who is not part of the summer internship, please, if you can leave this.
Hello, dear friends, to all of you. My name is Christina Kren. It has been such a long time. Today, I have the privilege to discuss with all of you a topic that has been debated for a long time, a topic that has been questioned for a long time, and perhaps it will be questioned much more longer than now. Well, first, before I start my talk, I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart the entire team of Fatima Al-Fihri Open University for hosting me on this Zoom interactive session. We know that Zoom as a platform revolutionized the entire world university education. And being a university student myself, I know that Zoom as a platform contributed greatly for the development of my career. I really like digital education, and at the same time I like the education in the campus of the universities. Well, first I would like to thank Umaima Al-Ghazali, Gabriel Almeida, and Al-Fihri for inviting me to be part of this FAOU talk. Also, special thanks goes for Mr. Zubair Kwaya, the founder of Fatima Al-Fihri Open University, and a special thanks to my former mentor, Fatima Zahra Budra, who actually basically was there since the first days of the creation of the Scientific Community Office, which proudly I am part of today as well. Well, I would like to say that basically the topic of this discussion is open education and e-learning during the COVID-19 pandemics. Gabriel basically asked me to discuss or give my opinion for the development of the process of e-learning in a global perspective, and how that it impacted greatly the international education and the connection with future jobs. Well, I would interrelate all these notions, all these concepts of thought from my own experience. I do not like to individualize education. Education should not be individualized. Education is a collective matter. It's a matter of our society. Education is and was produced by our society, our world society, and we are part of this society, of this world society. Therefore, when we mention or discuss basically the advantages or disadvantages of online or face-to-face education, in my opinion, this is the first wrong point of discussion. Everything in life has advantages and disadvantages. Therefore, I don't think so that digital education impacted negatively some students in the world or some professors around the world. actually, I can say about myself that Zoom as a platform, in the internet as a revolutionary invention, gave me the opportunity to study at the same time in 2 different countries and to study 3 bachelor degrees, from which I'm very proud of, and to be able to study in French, in English, and to say, okay, there was so much work, yes. Doing 3 bachelor's degrees at the same time is not something that everyone is doing it. And I don't want to say I did it. No, I would like to say at least I tried. I gave my best. And what is the outcome of all of this? Is that I could make connections with people from all over the world. I would say that studying in 2 countries helped me tremendously to travel quite a lot and to improve my level of English, to improve my level of Turkish. I currently reside in Istanbul. Before I was living in Paris. I'm from Macedonia originally. Therefore, I don't see barriers for international education. And during this COVID-19 pandemics, there were no barriers for international education. We could still study somewhere, whether at home or in schools in some countries. We could still study somewhere. And being somewhere, whether it is this somewhere means in the comfort of your own room or your own house or your own university or in the classroom itself, whether it was a virtual classroom or whether it was home classroom, there was still some level of education. Therefore, I do not see the barriers that were largely discussed by many world politicians regarding the COVID-19 pandemics. The COVID-19 pandemics did not pose any barriers towards world education. I reiterate this various times. Why? Because I am a person who would rather stay a few hours a day sitting in the library and studying and making an extensive research on some subject. But during the COVID-19 pandemics, that didn't change. I was still in front of my computer, reading thousands of digital documents, and was still able to do my extensive research projects. The question of future jobs is not something that is an obstacle. Well, now, in this second session, I'll be talking about future jobs and the education during the COVID-19 pandemics. As I said, nothing in life is an obstacle. We are seeing something new and we immediately think that is an obstacle. Well, digital education during the COVID-19 pandemics was something new, and many of us thought that it would be impossible to realize it. But we did realize it. Why? Because we all worked hard to some extent. Therefore, the question of future jobs is not related only with the COVID-19 pandemics. It's true that during the COVID-19 pandemics, many factories, schools, hospitals, world institutions had to close, but they did not stop working. Many of the world institutions, schools, and opened the new era of education diplomacy. Therefore, there wasn't an obstacle. Living a digital world, living in a digital world more precisely, taught us how to adapt in a more efficient way. When we start to build something from scratch, when we start something to build once again. I personally prefer digital education. Why? Because I study in 2 different countries. Therefore, you can't be present at 2 universities at the same time. Therefore, by studying online, you can do both universities. And COVID-19 pandemics basically helped me to do this, to save time. The COVID-19 pandemics was not an obstacle for me. It helped me tremendously to save time. And when I speak about saving time, this means to properly organize my goals and what I would like to do in my future career. I could organize my thoughts. And the best of it was that I learned how to prioritize things in life and education as well. Therefore, I would rather say that starting something from scratch is not a problem. It's a challenge. Life gives us that challenge, so we should not miss it or screw it up. We should find the solution how to deal with it. So therefore, I was in a situation before when I was following classes online for my university in France, and I was following classes in the amphitheater of my university here in Turkey. Therefore, I was all the time rushing in the transportation, which means using metro, buses, planes to travel from Turkey to France, from Turkey to Macedonia, from Macedonia to France, etc., etc. Therefore, I didn't have time for myself and for my personal goals. I had time for my professional goals, but not for my personal ones. Therefore, the COVID-19 pandemic was a new surprise for me, and I just learned to take the best of both worlds and just realize everything that I planned to realize, basically. So this is my experience. But how is the experience of other people? You can basically, all of you ask them, and ask them actually to share their story. And when you hear the essence of different experiences, you become someone who is quite flexible. And being flexible is one of the key factors that helped me to succeed in my professional career. Being very flexible. When you speak more than 5 or 6 languages, you no longer reason in one language only. You reason in various languages at the same time. So when I mean at the same time, that means that while I was doing my 2 universities online during the COVID-19 pandemics, I had to think at the same time in many languages. So basically I was writing my research paper in French, doing my other research paper in English, and I was constantly having some connection. And what was that connection? That during the COVID-19 pandemics, I could live in total, so I could live completely my dream of speaking and interacting with many languages at the same time. It was a wish since I was a child. Therefore, this wish was realized only during the COVID-19 pandemics. What is the future of education? This is the answer that only you as an individual will have. Well, in this third and final session, I would like to mention that COVID-19 was a valuable lesson for all of us. we all got some valuable feedback for ourselves. Therefore, the best saying or advice that I could get from my grandfather, may he rest in peace, is that while I was younger, he told me one advice. You should know that in life, while you will search for a job, companies won't search for you. You should search for them. Therefore, I think the message is very clear. Education will help you to prosper in your personal and professional life, but experience will help you to find a job. And experience comprehends completing your education, doing master's and PhD, getting a professional experience in some enterprise, doing internships, writing research papers, studying marketing, studying business administration, learning how a company functions. And maybe, who knows, one day you will be able to open your own company. And most importantly, you can be a successful entrepreneur if you only speak many languages. I met many people during my entire teenage years who opened their own companies but couldn't expand their sales abroad because they didn't speak foreign languages. Therefore, education is an option. You are not obliged to take it. But if you decide to take it or to start it, then you should know that you should finish it, complete it. You can't leave education in the middle. You need to complete your bachelor's, master's, PhD, and postdoctoral degrees. Not that degrees matters, but the experience you get from all that travels, language, interactive sessions with people from all over the world, summer schools you are doing, connections that you make, will make you the successful person that you aspire to be. Because the COVID-19 pandemics, everyone was saying that it was an obstacle. No, the first obstacle is ourselves. What do we think about ourselves? This is the first obstacle. We often think that we can't make it, we can't do it, because there is an obstacle. Hey, wait, who said that on your road to success, there won't be obstacles? Well, just you should know how to deal with that obstacle and transfer that obstacle into advantages. Therefore, good luck everyone with their education choice. And remember, this is the point where education diplomacy starts. The ability to be different. The original is always better than the copy. Never try to be a copy of someone else. Make your original professional portrait. Paint yourself, paint your career into something great, and let me know about your success. Thank you very much to all the people who were present in this session. Thank you for hearing my thoughts and watching this, and thank you for watching this video. Take care of yourself and hope to see you soon.